Shalom, my friends, and welcome to weekly Parsha with Yehuda Yisrael. So, this week is going to be Rosh Hashanah, and we are going to read a different Parsha, obviously on Rosh Hashanah, which is more commonly read, but for this week on Shabbat, after Rosh Hashanah is over, we will be reading this Parsha, Hazinu. This is a very unique Parsha in that it's a song. So let's go through the Parsha. Listen, O heavens, and I will speak, and let the earth hear the words of my mouth. My lesson will drip like rain, my word will flow like dew, like storm winds on vegetation, and like raindrops on grass. When I call out the name of the Lord and ascribe greatness to our God, the deeds of the mighty rock are perfect, for all his ways are just, a faithful God without injustice. He is righteous and upright. Destruction is not his, and it is his children's defect, you crooked and twisted generation. Is this how you repay the Lord, you disgraceful, unwise people? Is he not your father, your master? He has made you and established you. So that is the first aliyah. Remember the days of old. Reflect upon the years of other generations. Ask your father, and he will tell you, your elders, and they will inform you. When the Most High gave nations their lot, when he separated the sons of man, he set up the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the children of Israel. Because the Lord's portion is his people Jacob, the lot of his inheritance. He founded them in a desert land and in a desolate, howling wasteland. He encompassed them and bestowed understanding upon them. He protected them as the pupil of his eye. As an eagle awakens its nest, hovering over its fledglings, it spreads its wings, taking them and carrying them on its pinions. So the Lord guided them alone, and there was no alien deity with him. He made them ride upon the high places of the earth, that they would eat the produce of the field. He let them suck honey from a rock and oil from the mighty part of the crag, the cream of cattle and the milk of sheep, but the fat of lambs and the rams of Bashan and he-goats with kidneys of wheat. And the congregation of Israel would drink the blood of grapes, which was as the finest wine. And Jeshurun became fat and rebelled. You grew fat, thick, and rotund, forsook the God who made them, and spurned the mighty rock of their salvation. They provoked his zeal with alien worship. They made him angry with abominations deeds. They sacrificed to demons which have no power, deities they did not know, and new things that only recently came, which your forefathers did not fear, aka Jesus and other forms of Avodah Zarah. This is sort of like speaking about the past and the future and, everything all at once, right? You forgot the mighty rock who bore you. You forgot the God who delivered you. Moving on to the fourth aliyah. And the Lord saw this and became angry, provoked by his sons and daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end will be, for they are a generation of changes. They are not recognizable, as my children whom I have reared. They have provoked my jealousy with a non-God, Jesus, provoked my anger with their vanities. Thus I will provoke their jealousy with a non-people, provoke their anger with a foolish nation. For a fire blazed in my wrath and burned to the lowest depths. It consumed the land and its produce, setting aflame the foundations of mountains. I will link evils upon them, and I will use up my arrows on them. They will sprout hair from famine, attacked by demons, excised by Miriri, and I will incite teeth of the livestock upon them, with the venom of creatures that slither in the dust. Miriri? excision caused by a demon named Miriri. Interesting. Okay. It says, okay, I don't know. Interesting. Never saw that before. From outside, the sword will bereave and terror from within. Young men and maidens and suckling babes with venerable elders. I said that I would make an end of them, eradicate their remembrance from mankind. Right? Were it not that the enemy's wrath was heaped up, lest their adversaries distort, lest they claim our hand was triumphant, the Lord did none of this. Right? So I think I was expecting to see, this reminds me of when God said to Moses that he was going to destroy the entire nation, and Moses said the Yud Gimel Midot, right? He was invoking the attribute of mercy, and then also he said, what would happen if you destroy the nation, right? That you promised that you were going to deliver, in a positive way instead of, destroying the entire nation. That's what's coming to mind here, but I don't know. I'm not seeing this being reflected in the commentaries, but that's what comes in my mind. For they are a nation devoid of counsel, and they have no understanding. Okay. For if they were wise, they would understand this. They would reflect on their fate. How can one person pursue 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight unless their mighty rock has sold them out and the Lord has given them over? For their rock is not like our mighty rock. Nevertheless, our enemies sit in judgment. For their vine is the vine of Sodom and the field of Gomorrah, and their grapes are grapes of Rosh, and they have bitter clusters. Their wine is bitterness of serpents and the bitterness of the ruthless cobras. Is it not stored up with me, sealed up in my treasuries? Vengeance is poised with me, and it will pay at the time their foot stumbles, for the appointed day of their reckoning is near, and what is destined for them hastens. When the Lord will judge his people and will reconsider his servants, when he sees that the power is increasing and none is controlled or strengthened, then he will say, where is their city, the rock in which they trusted, who ate the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their libations? Let them arise and help you. Let them be your shelter. See now that it is I am the one, and there is no God like me. I cause death and grant life. I strike, but I heal, and no one can rescue from my hand. For I raise up my hand to heaven and say, as I live forever, when I sharpen the blade of my sword, and my hand grasps judgment, and I will bring vengeance upon my adversaries to repay those who hate me. I will intoxicate my arrows with blood, and my sword will consume flesh, from the blood of the slain and the captives, from the breach of the enemy. Sing out praise, O you nations, for his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, inflict revenge upon his adversaries, and appease his land and his people. Interesting. There's a lot of commentary on that. But yeah, you can give that a read if you find it interesting. And Moses came and spoke all the words of this song into the ears of the people, and he and Hoshea, the son of Nun. And Moses finished speaking all these words to Israel, to all of Israel, and he said to them, set your hearts to all the words which I bear witness to you this day, so that you may command your children to observe to do all the words of this Torah. For it is not an empty thing for you, for it is your life, and through this thing you will lengthen your days upon the land which you are crossing over the Jordan to possess it. Just like in last week's, Parsha and Nitzavim, where it was saying, this Torah, the words of this Torah, not some New Testament nonsense, right? With Jesus or whatever, right? It's all about following this Torah. And the Lord spoke to Moses on that very day, saying, "Go up to this Mount of Arim, to Mount Nebo, which is the land of Moab, which is facing Jericho, and see the land of Canaan, which I'm giving to the children of Israel as a possession." So this was Moses' last, sort of thing he was allowed to do. He was able to see the land, but he wasn't able to go into it. "And die on the mountain which you are climbing to be gathered to your people, just as your brother Aaron died on Mount Hor and was gathered to his people. Because you betrayed me in the midst of the children of Israel, the waters of Meribah Kadesh in the desert of Zin, and because you did not sanctify me in the midst of the children of Israel. For from afar you will see the land, but you will not come there, to the land which I am giving to the children of Israel." And that is Parshat Hazinu. We're getting almost to the end of the Torah. Very, very close. Thank you all for joining me for this week's Parsha. Shana Tova Umetuka. I'm going to put out a video about Rosh Hashanah, so be ready for that. It's going to demonstrate that Rosh Hashanah is in the Tanakh and it's not some made-up rabbinical idea. And it is very much a part of the new year. Shana Tova Umetuka, and Shalom Aleichem.